Startup Stars, where startups come to shine.
Here on Startup Stars, we connect with founders and co-founders of startups to better understand them, what they're trying to accomplish with their startup, and their inspiration in its creation. We give them 10 minutes or less to do so. We're back with another amazing guest, and we're excited to have him here. We're going to let him introduce himself, and we're going to let him introduce his startup, what he's looking to build with the startup, and the goals he has in mind, and the accomplishments he would like to have in the future of his startup. So, Mark, would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me on the podcast. My name is Mark Anthony Peterson, founder and CEO of Ziscuit. Ziscuit is, I guess, in its future incarnation, which is a two-sided reverse auction grocery marketplace platform that allows shoppers to post their list in grocery stores to bid on it. A little bit about me: I've played in and out of the entrepreneurial space for 25 plus years. Spent time on both sides of the coin. Worked for a lot of great companies like General Mills, Accenture, Choice Point, where I ran an incubator and bought startups for the company. And so I've had the fortunate pleasure of looking at startups from a corporate perspective as well as building them. My last startup was called Pride Rock Holdings. It was a biometric startup. The goal with that one was to make the world a safer place by digitizing fingerprints and getting results back fast so that we could make sure people who had backgrounds that wouldn't allow them to be around kids, the elderly, other individuals who may be compromised in some way, that they couldn't have access to those individuals. And so we built that business, a software platform that existed in the cloud. It was a device agnostic, and grew that business to about $20 million before we sold it to a Fortune 500 company. Groceries has always been a passion for me. I started a grocery store in college, tried to move that grocery store to my hometown in Alabama, realized I didn't know enough about groceries, so I went back and got an MBA. After that, I, like I said, bounced around with a number of great jobs, but then I came back into the grocery space with a couple of startups called Rescue and List Genie, and those were launched in the early 2000s, and what we were trying to do with those is buy on the app and pick up at the store. Those were just too early. I got thrown out of everywhere I pitched that startup because most retailers at the time wanted to have people in the store and not on an app. But Ziscuit is a culmination of all of those. What we see is a growing problem. About 49 million people who are food insecure. That means they can't afford enough food to put on their plates to feed their families. And we see a growing number of food deserts around the world. Atlanta, Birmingham, St. Paul, Minneapolis, you name it. These cities have growing food deserts where there aren't sufficient store operations to provide quality food for the people who live in those areas. And unfortunately, 1 in 4 African Americans is food insecure, and a growing number of African Americans live in food deserts. I myself grew up in a food desert with an ingenious man who filled the gap for grocery stores that weren't in our community, and he sold everything by the piece. He sold you a pickle out the jar, an egg out the carton. He sold everything to help you make ends meet, but you were still in a desert when it came to other nutritional items. So Ziscuit is designed to be rolled out in phases. The first phase is a grocery search engine that lets you find the cheapest food by posting your shopping list on our platform. We instantly check all the stores in your neighborhood and tell you, hey, you get the cheapest eggs here, the cheapest milk here, the cheapest colas here, saving you a lot of money without coupon clipping. Phase 2, we add the auction component onto the business, where you post the list, search, find the cheapest groceries, and then put that bid out there for grocery stores to get even more creative in saving you money. First phase will save you anywhere from $5 to $15. That second phase could save you tons more, because not only can you post a list with your brands that you really like, you can also just post a list and name your price. I got $80, 30 items. Who can fulfill that opportunity for me to feed my family? Now, the grocery stores under that scenario will pick your brands, and they will say store brand, my own brand or a national brand that I got a great price on, I may be able to beat that $80 and still make a good profit for my store. That's what we want to see happen, because right now, delivery platforms are charging the store a 5 to 8% platform fee. They charge those shoppers a membership fee and a delivery fee, and that's all aimed at supporting the top 10% around the world, those service-oriented shoppers. So the rest of us, that 90% of us who don't use delivery platforms, we're paying more for our groceries and getting less just to give them more convenience. That's not the way it's supposed to be. So Ziscuit wants to right-size the market, give grocery stores an opportunity to use this platform for free, pay me a commission when I book a sale for you. That gives them an opportunity to build a profit and to reduce labor in the store, and then provide great value to the rest of the 90% of us who need that value to put more food on the table. Phase 3 is where it really gets exciting, because Ziscuit is going to deploy food lockers in underserved communities, in served communities, so that you now can use my search engine, use the auction, and have food delivered to where you live. We're going to bring the grocery store to you. That means people who live in food deserts won't have to go 15, 20 miles to a grocery store. The grocery store will come right to them and drop off in these refrigerated food lockers that are walking distance from your house. That's how we're going to beat food deserts, food insecurity, and food waste with this platform. And I'm just can't wait to see us getting more traction as we roll this business out.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, man. And it sounds like you definitely need more visibility to let people know about these things, because that's excellent. I personally grew up in a food desert as well, and I understand what it's like, especially in the African-American community. And it sounds like Ziscuit itself is a grocery store aggregator, and it's basically having these grocery stores compete for the customer, correct?
Right, so yeah, it's an aggregator, and that may sound scary to some grocery stores, but what I tell the grocery stores that I meet with, think about a food court. There's nobody going hungry in a food court, and there's no retailer who wants to leave a food court, because that brings more shoppers to the table when they can perceive they get more value. Our platform also gives them a way to expand their margins, both with branded auctions as well as the name your price auctions, because they are getting the chance to pick what they put in your cart, or they get to set how their prices look in a branded scenario. So we have tools that let them say, I only want to bid when there's these items in the cart, or when the cart's over $100, or if the cart's in these zip codes, or if the cart has this profile connected to it. They really get to curate their hybrid pricing on the platform in a way that they can't do offline. So I think they'll love this in terms of expanding margins. And guess what? They're not paying the 5 to 8% platform fee like you do for delivery services that don't try to get you any cheaper food. They just want to deliver it and then take more food off your plate. So grocery stores that we have engaged with are extremely excited at the prospect of serving the bottom 90% better than they do today. And so we're really happy with how the model is constructed. And it is right now all about getting that visibility, because we're rolling out the grocery search engine. As you imagine, with a marketplace, you got to solve that chicken and egg problem. Right? You got to have the shoppers before the grocery stores come, or the grocery store before the shoppers. We picked the shoppers, and we said, hey, if we give you a really good search engine to find the cheapest groceries wherever you work or live, that's going to help a couple of segments within the shopping segment that are doing that today. So you have baby boomers, you have millennial moms with 2+ kids. They invest 2 hours right now flipping coupons, going through grocery store flyers, searching for recipes, and they only save about 24 cents per shopping trip. That's a big time investment to make pennies back when you go to try to get cheaper food. Ziscuit lets you put in your list and you will save $5 to $15 just by running it instantly. So that cuts out the 2 hours, gives you a roadmap to where the food is the cheapest. And as we stand up the auction platform, you'll be able to just hit buy. Right? You can bypass the auction and say, I just want to buy that. And then go get the savings and pick them up from the 2 stores. And as we integrate to these grocery stores, you won't even have to shop. Most stores now have a pick and pack and put at the service desk, so you'll be able to just pick up your groceries after paying for it on the Ziscuit platform. So it gives a lot of service and still saves a lot because you're making that trip to the store without having to pick your items.
And so we've closed in on our 10-minute mark as well. I'm excited that you brought all this up. This is very interesting, and I'd honestly be interested in hearing more about it myself. So tell me, is there anything you would like to leave with the people before we close out on this conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. You can pre-register now, and we'll let you know when we're active in your area. We launched in 4 zip codes in Atlanta after we wrapped up Techstars. We're currently over in the Velocity Accelerator in Birmingham, Alabama. We'll launch there in June. So please make your way over to Ziscuit.shop, pre-register. We got 25 cities that we're going to be active in this year. Help us in the ride by showing your commitment to right-sizing the grocery industry by pre-enrolling. That'll help us tremendously by showing the traction that we get from those
Nice. Well, I thank you very much for joining and sharing. I hope the people take something meaningful from this. I hope they definitely go check out Ziscuit because this sounds very necessary. Looking forward to possibly having you on another episode because I would love to hear more and about your future progress.
Yeah, I would love to do that, love to share that. But my passion is solving this problem. I was the kid, I'm sure you've been there too, having to take food off your mama's cart back to the shelf because she couldn't afford it. We can make that right. We can make it right for a lot more people than just a family. We want to solve it on a nationwide basis, if not globally. That's how big we want this to be.
Well, once again, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you all on the next episode. This is your host, Pontarius Falls. This is Mark Peterson from Ziscuit. I'll see you soon.
Startup Stars, where startups come to shine.